Welcome to the Mentally Whole Podcast. I am your host, Lauren Green. This podcast is a safe place for us to have weekly discussions about mental health, Christ, personal development, and the tools to live our best lives. Please stay tuned for a new episode. Hey y'all, this is another episode of the Mentally Whole Podcast. So this week there will be 2 episodes releasing. Boom, boom, we out here. But this episode is our anniversary episode. So there are no trending topics, anything like that. So today is September the 8th, 2020. So last year on September 7th, 2019, I released the first podcast episode ever. Allow Me to Introduce Myself came out as a podcast episode, and it's been 1 full year that I have been a podcaster. All right. And I wanted to do this episode to really just reflect on the 1 year journey of being a podcaster. Literally, I just what's the word? Literally, I had this idea sometime last year. I told one of my friends, oh yeah, if you haven't listened to Allow Me to Introduce Myself, the very first episode, you should probably go back and listen to it. Okay, thanks. But I had told my friend that I wanted to do a blog of some sort, and I wasn't really sure what avenue I wanted to go in. I didn't know if I wanted to write, didn't know if I wanted to do live videos or podcasting. I chose podcasting because at the time I was listening to a lot of podcasts. I still do. But I was listening to a lot of them, right? I can name them. I was listening to Blessed and Bossed Up with Tatum Tamia. I was listening to Therapy as a Christian with Rosalind Renee. I was listening to the Love Hour podcast with Kev on Stage and Mrs. Kev on Stage. I was listening to Righteous and Ratchet with Kev on Stage and Doughboy at the time. And I really enjoyed the concept of podcasting because it's another way to learn, and it's not a traditional way to learn because you're just hearing, you're just listening to audio and that's it. And I thought it was a dope idea. And I was like, I can use that avenue to talk about mental health, right? And, I just literally started Googling, researching how to start a podcast, and just was like, I'm going to do this, bought the equipment that I needed. And I said, I'm out here. I'm just going to take a leap and do it. Yeah, right? And so, today I just wanted to talk about things that I've learned during my first year of podcasting. The first thing that I've learned is that discipline is important, right? Sometimes sometimes I don't feel motivated to record, and sometimes I choose to rest, or I choose not to release a new episode certain weeks. But, you still, when the motivation fades, you still do the thing. You still do the things that you said you were going to do, right? So even though sometimes I wasn't motivated, I still recorded an episode. It might have been the greatest episode content-wise, but I still recorded an episode, and I still wanted to keep, recording. Even if the episode was late, I still released something. I mean, there was a few weeks where I just was like, I need a break. But I tried to the best of my ability to record every week. And I learned a lot about just discipline and being integral, and, time management as well, because I do have to set time aside to do the things, podcast related things, right? Another thing that I learned is that podcasting takes a lot of work. Okay, I am just a team of one. So I've learned a lot of new skills. So I learned about recording. I've learned how to edit with GarageBand. I learned how to create my own logo. I learned how to make the theme music with GarageBand. But in the near future, I'm going to use Fiverr to have someone make me new theme music. But yeah, in the beginning, it was just all me. Literally, it's still all me, but I had to teach myself new skills. I also learned the importance of being patient with myself, because, some moments were frustrating when I couldn't figure out how to do certain things. But I took my time and I figured it out. Cause, learning how to podcast was a whole, separate thing that I wanted to do. And I also had to learn how to manage my time, like I said, because I needed, I had to set time aside to record, set time aside to edit, set time aside to set up the publishing, setup in the back on my end, on the back end. I think I'm really, stepping into, more of business Lauren. So I don't think I told y'all this, but for my birthday, one of my friends purchased a shirt. She designed a shirt for me with the podcast logo on it, and it said "Be Mentally Whole" and then podcast at the bottom. And me and my friend were talking about that the other day. That shirt was prophetic, and I was like, yeah, because for a while I've had this idea of having merchandise for the podcast. And then even as recently as maybe last month or a month and a half ago, I was talking to someone about the podcast, and they were like, well, you should copyright the name. And I was like, that sounds like a good idea. And then I saw, and I'm in this group on Facebook, and the person had went through the process of setting up that Facebook group, or the Facebook name of the group, as a business. And I was really inspired by that when I saw it a few weeks ago. And I'm like, maybe I can, file Mentally Whole as a business to sell merch, because merch has been an idea, probably since I started this podcast, to do merch, like journals and shirts and things like that. That's something I really am interested in doing, specifically journals, actually, because I love to journal. That's something I do multiple times a week to just really get out my feelings and stuff, and really talk about what I'm going through in my journal. Because sometimes you don't need to rant on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. Sometimes you need to write in your journal or go to therapy. One of the two. Because some things aren't meant to be. Some things aren't meant for public consumption. That's a word. So I think now my business mind is ever evolving. So I think that soon that I will have merchandise. I don't know when, but I would like to have merchandise, journals, shirts, you name it. I want to have it. Another thing that I've learned is that I am a creative. I'm not a creative in the traditional sense, but I am a creative, because, creating content is a creative task, right? I do all the research for the topics. I look up stuff for every topic, and that takes another level of creativity, right? It's not traditional creativity in a sense, but it is a creative process. So yeah, I'm a creative. What else? I think that's it, y'all. I don't really know what else I can think of that I've learned in the past year. Another thing that I've learned is to not be afraid to reach out to people to do interviews, right? That's the one thing I have learned. I think that's something I still need to work on, actually, because I do have a lot of people in mind for the show, and for a while I've been nervous to ask, but going into this new year of the podcast, I will be getting new guests, new people that I enjoy, that I want you guys to hear and listen to on the show. But those people will remain a secret until their episode comes out. But yeah, y'all, I think it's been a great journey. Continue to listen, continue to share, continue to subscribe. To everybody that subscribes and listens, I love each and every one of you. Yeah, I mean, it's been a journey, right? Yeah, but thank you who listens. Every person that tells me that they listen, I really take that, and I'm just like, you listen, I love you. So thanks for listening. And on to the next year, right? Like, on to the next year. I love y'all, and keep listening and keep improving and keep growing. Bye.